So, what makes this thing so special anyways?
So what makes this thing so special? What makes the Toyota Supra this car that when you go to a car show, when you go to a meet, when you go to a drag event, everyone's drooling over this car? What makes this car better than the rest, or what makes it so iconic? So if you guys can see here today, as we're starting off, it is very cold here in Pennsylvania, so I apologize if there's no bright sunny weather for y'all to see today. Here in Pennsylvania, it's cold, snowy, and there's actually salt on the road, so the fact that I even got this out is a bit of a treat for me. But let's go over what makes this car so special and why would someone pay such absurd amount of money for a 25-year-old Toyota? So starting off here, the cars are just low production. We got a low production vehicle here. They made them here in the US from 93 and a half to 1998, and they only made so many of them at that time period. You're talking about a car within that amount of years. We're talking turbo, non-turbo, twin turbo, 6 speeds, the automatics, etc. You're talking a total, I think 10,500 to 11,000 cars were ever brought here to the US, and that's what was sold here. Now that's not counting for how many have been wrecked now, how many have been chopped up for parts, etc. I would say there's probably, if I could say so, I would say there's probably 9,000 still left running available. I would say, maybe I could be off, maybe there's less than that. Sure feels like it at times, as you keep seeing less and less of these cars, especially for the fact that they're getting so old. You're not seeing daily driven, you're not seeing them out on the road unless someone's baby and they're taking it out on a nice day, unlike me, as you can see here today. But the cars itself are just so uber rare, and let's be honest here, Fast and Furious. So yes, Fast and Furious did jettison this car into a different atmosphere when that came out. It really made the car iconic. Everyone's like, man, I have to have one after that. But the car in itself, in its own right, actually was pretty popular before Fast and Furious came out. Powerhouse Racing was making big numbers with these cars. They were drag racing them using the 2JZ well before Fast and Furious came out, and it was getting a ton of traction. Now after Fast and Furious, yes, the car became more iconic and more people were searching for them, but it was still the sought after car it is here today. Now, the biggest thing I always get asked is, Ryan, why are they so much money now? You know, the market here seems lately to be crazy. I believe this year alone, there's been over 50 of Supras alone this year that have sold for over $100,000. You're talking about a Toyota here, guys, a 25-year-old Toyota that's selling for over 100 grand. Now, those are clean examples, but even some pretty rough runs. Say something like for myself. This was a non-turbo car originally, and I had swapped it. You know, something of that nature is actually still selling for $45,000 to $50,000 for a clean example, which is just mind-blowing, as I paid $11,000 for this car back in 2011. Now, it was non-turbo then, but you're still talking about, what, a 500% gain in value? That to me is insane. Now, I'm gonna have to sit here and complain and saying that's a bad thing, as me being an owner of a Mark IV Supra makes this very nice for me. But for people trying to get into the game, it's getting to the point now you find a very clean example and you're willing to pay the money, or even a crappy, rotted out junk Supra is going for stupid money. Recently there was a white Supra that was rusted out. It looked like it had to be down south somewhere. Like, it was just bad. Like, there's nothing to date that's been as bad as this one. We're talking rust inside the car. It had to be a flood car of some sort. And they're still asking $18,000. Again, this was a non-turbo automatic Supra, and we're talking $16,000 to $18,000 for this car. I think they ended up raffling the car off eventually, but that just gives you a little bit of perspective of how much these cars are really worth and what people are willing to pay for them. Now, what makes it more special too is the fact of the 2JZ. Now, that being said, that came in a multitude of cars. You had the Chaser, you had here in the US, the GS300 had one, the IS300, the SC300. It just came in a multitude of cars, but when you think of the Supra, you think of big power. 2JZ is synonymous with that, and it just goes kind of hand in hand. The fact that you're able to make, say, around 800 wheel horsepower, 600 foot-pounds of torque on a stock motor, and it'll take it all day long. Now, people do have this conception that, oh my God, if you have a Supra, you must have 1,000 horsepower. The problem with that is the rods can't handle that. Your pistons, everything else can, but the rods tend to bend. Anything over 800 or 600 foot-pounds of torque is really what matters there. It tends to be an issue over 600 foot-pounds. Now, there's people that have done it, and they've maybe driven a little bit longer, but it's always a ticking time bomb when you're asking for those kind of items. So for me, it's also the sleekness of the car that's really gotten me into it. And if you look at it here now, I've debadged the car, I've kind of shaved the front bumper, so I'm cleaned as much up as possible. Removed the antenna, removed the rear windshield wiper, removed the front windshield wipers. I love a clean, sleek look. But the Supra in itself obviously gives you that look too. It's a very curvy car. It's very voluptuous, as I like to call it. It has a big fat ass, a big fat hips on it, which I really like about the car. It gives it this very iconic, simple design that a lot of cars of the era did not have. And it just seems to be something that people look for from years to come, and I just never get tired of looking at it. Another big thing coming back to the power is all the fun you can have. It does stuff like, well, this. And it does stuff like this.
Okay, we're done! We're done! We're done!
Oh, did I mention it can do this? So as you guys can see, the car can make good power and take a beating all day long. I mean, unlike maybe some American cars or some Hondas of that nature, I drive this car all over. I'll drive it 4 hours, 5 hours here, there, has AC, heat, everything, and it does it all well in a manual transmission. This car just takes power very easily, and you can beat on it and it goes, I'll take some more. There's not many cars that are able to do that. Now, in today's society, cars have gotten faster, stronger, better. We have the Hellcats of the world now, the GT500s, GT350. You're talking big power vehicles now, and they just keep making more and more power. Look at the new ZR1 Corvette, over 700 horsepower from the factory. Dodge Demon, over 800 horsepower from the factory. You know, those cars are pretty amazing. But for this car being 25 years old, the 2JZ itself being designed in 1990, I mean, it's pretty crazy. These cars are still hanging to this day here, 2017, I should say. We're going into 2018, and it's still hanging in there, making the same amount of power, taking the same beatings that these brand new cars are able to do. Next thing would be the interior of the Toyota Supra is pretty synonymous for being pretty awesome. It looks like a fighter jet cockpit in here. Everything is geared towards me. Everything is pulled up towards me. The shifter is perfect. The e-brake's right next to you instead of being on the opposite side by the passenger. Everything is meant for the driver. The passenger and the people in the rear seats really get nothing. That's another thing. The rear seats in these cars are pretty much useless, but it is meant to be a driven driver's car. Dead center of the car, speeds off to the side, because who needs to see how fast you're going? All you need to see is where that red line's at and when you're going to be banging that next gear. These cars are amazing to drive, so driver focused. Everything just, you feel like you're cocooned in here. The seats are comfortable. They're just such a fun car to drive, so well designed, and just, well, just a damn good car. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with here, guys, is the 2JZ sound. Let's face it, when you pull up somewhere, when I have this car, first thing people notice is, damn, what is that noise? That 2JZ noise that just, it's synonymous. It's perfect in every shape, way, and form. There's nothing quite like it out there. When you're going down the road, it has that deep throaty noise. It doesn't have the raspiness or the craziness of, say, like the Hondas and stuff have. It just has this mean muscle car-ish sound. Obviously, it's not a big V8, but it just sounds so smooth and mean. When that turbo spools, that screamer pipe hits, it's perfect. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that 2JZ noise comes from having long headers on your turbo manifold and going single turbo. 9 times out of 10, when you hear a stock twin turbo Supra, they honestly don't sound all that great. They have a very muffled sound. They don't have the raspiness or the that deep noise that everyone knows with the 2JZ. But once you go to a single turbo and you put a proper 3-inch or 4-inch exhaust on this car, it just sounds amazing. I mean, well, what am I talking about? Let me just show you real quick what it sounds like. All right, guys, so we're back here at the house now. Just pulled it in, but I want to know, what's your guys' opinion? What makes the Supra iconic to you? What makes it this supercar that everyone seems to drool over when you go to a car show? Every time I pull up, it is what, lack of better words, I call a dick magnet, because so many people tend to just get drawn to it, and mostly be men. Not too many girls really care about the car from what I've seen and how many car shows I've been to. So I want to know, what's your opinion, guys? What do you feel about the car? Do you feel it's overrated? Do you feel it's worth the money it's been gaining? What drives people to want these cars? I need to know down below. The more comments I get, the more feedback I can give for a later video. So please let me know down below, or hit me up on my Facebook or Instagram. All right, guys, I'm not sure how long this video is, but I tried to give you as much information as I could. I feel that these cars are very iconic. Yes, I know I own one, so maybe I'm slightly biased, but I also have a Toyota MR2, which I really love, and I feel that's a great car. The market says otherwise, as they're really cheap right now, and you can really get them for almost nothing, but I feel like they're a very iconic car and very neat, but the market right now says otherwise, so obviously the market says for these, they're worth it. So let me know what you guys think, and I appreciate you all tuning in today. If you could do me a favor, go down below, check out my Facebook and Instagram. I also have all my merchandise for Pure Function. I have hats, t-shirts, decals will be coming soon. I also have key tags coming from Motoloot. Anyone that's been to my channel before, you'll know that I always drink an ice cold Keystone, and I'll have tags for that coming here soon. And yeah, and if there's anything else you guys need, as usual, just please shoot me a message. Thank you guys very much, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.